Let's talk Lakers Pacers. So, according to various sources, Bob Kravitz, I believe, was the first one who had this from The Athletic, that the Lakers and Pacers, he said trade talks are dead, and then said, but they're not really. Basically, essentially where we're at from what everybody has chimed in. Mark Stein chimed in with this and everything, but essentially where the trade talks are at right now is the Lakers are offering Russell Westbrook and a first-round pick for Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. The Pacers say they want Russell Westbrook and 2 first-round picks for Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, and that's where it's at this moment. So, Keith, what's your take on those trade negotiations and kind of where this is ultimately heading? Obviously, I've got my thoughts on it because I've been covering it all day for the Lakers, but where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I think if you're the Lakers, this is, I know when we talked the other day, just Buddy Hield, it was, correct me if I'm wrong, but your feeling was like, that's a little bit too much. And eventually I kind of came around to Russ and 2 picks for Buddy Hield is, that's probably too much. Russ and 2 picks for Buddy Hield and Myles Turner, that probably puts you a tier up in the Western Conference, I think, because then you're probably going into the season with a starting lineup that looks something like Turner, Davis, LeBron, Hield, and Kendrick Nunn. I don't know, plug in whoever, right? And into that 5th spot. I think probably maybe Kendrick Nunn because he's probably the best point guard defender that they'd have left. There, just to have somebody to chase around. It almost kind of doesn't matter. I feel like I'm missing somebody.
Austin Reeves has been rumored to be getting a look in the starting lineup. You could, if you want to go size, is Stanley Johnson. There's a few different guys.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things. And functionally on the offensive end, LeBron's going to be your point guard. You're going to run most of the offense through him. It's more defensively. You just need to make sure you have somebody who can change. It's more the kind of little quick speedy point guards, right? The bigger ones you're not overly worried about. You'll mix and match and figure that out. It's the small quick guys. Who's going to chase Stephen Curry around, right? Like that's what you need is more of a true point guard there. So I think I would do it if it was Turner and Hield, 2 picks and Russ, because for me, I get it. Who knows what that'll look like, 4, 5, 6 years down the line. But I think your challenge is I want to maximize my LeBron window, whether that be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever that is. I want to keep that window as wide open as I can. And I think this does that. Plus, it also gives you then 2 contracts where if something's not fitting quite right, you could turn around and flip them for something else the time the trade deadline rolls around.
Yeah, there's a lot of Lakers fans that I see that are a firm no on doing Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. And I'm definitely not doing that right now. Not while there's a Kyrie Irving out there. Like if I'm going to give up both.
Yeah.
First, I want to make sure the Kyrie Irving thing is dead. Like completely dead and done. I said earlier today on Lakers, I said double tap Zombieland style. That's what it's got to be. In order for me to move on and do this Myles Turner, Buddy Hield thing, because I would rather, and you can tell me if I'm crazy on this, but I would rather do a deal to go get Kyrie Irving, even though there's some headaches that come with that, because I think your ceiling is higher if you do that versus Buddy Hield and Myles Turner.
No, for sure. And Kyrie Irving's the kind of guy where if you have a recurrence of injuries with any one of those guys, I know we kind of had this conversation before with, hey, the idea of LeBron, Russ, and AD is you're always going to have at least one, right? Yeah. And that didn't really go so well. But I think Kyrie's a different guy. We saw at times this year after he was back while KD was still out, he can really still carry the offense and do a lot of things. So I that part I'm with you on. I would, you got to wait, make sure that that's completely finished. Because the last thing you would want to do is do this and it comes out 2 days later, like, well, Kyrie Irving set it off for, a relatively minor return, because that would be really tough. Now, I am 100% against using 2 first-round picks just to dump Russ, because I've seen some people say, well, just get him sent to the Pacers for almost whatever, along with or to the Spurs. That I'm against. That doesn't make
Correct.
sense to me. That's just, that's not a good use of resources. But yeah, at that point, just wait it out. If you have to bench him, see if he'll take a buyout, just kind of say, hey, we're moving on. Don't even come to the facility anymore. Kind of like what the Rockets did with John Wall. But if you can get actual talent back, yeah, Kyrie would be priority one for me. Then right under that, though, Hield and Turner's pretty good. Even if the fits are not perfect,
Sure.
right? But you go get those two guys, and maybe you sign Dennis Schroeder, and just because I know that seems like that maybe is going to happen, and that just gives you a little bit of depth at the point guard position, and then you figure out the rest of it as you get into the season.
If you had your choice between the two and forget contracts completely, just who do you think is the better basketball player, Buddy Hield or Malik Monk? And I'm asking to give you a moment to think about that because Lakers fans were discussing like they had Malik Monk last year. If you sub in Buddy Hield, is that an upgrade? Is that a downgrade? What would be the expectation at that point?
I think it's probably Buddy Hield, but I think it's closer than like I wouldn't want to make a snap judgment and say Buddy Hield, but I do think it probably is Buddy Hield. I think I think it's probably him, but it is somewhat close. I think Buddy Hield can do a little bit more on his own as far as getting offense, where I think Malik Monk needs a little bit more help to get his shots, to get his best looks and those kind of things. I think Hield's the kind of guy you can kind of let him lead an offensive unit for 10 minutes a night or something like that, or really kind of be the key guy. And I don't know that Monk is necessarily that guy.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I do think that Buddy Hield probably is a bit better. Obviously, contractually, he makes quite a bit more, but something that I've seen going around in Lakers circles, Pacers fans, I'm seeing a lot of fans, pretty much every other team is saying, no matter what you do, don't help the Lakers. This is helping the Lakers. Like, if you're getting picks, like, picks are picks, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, you don't care about that if you're the Pacers at this point. It doesn't matter. I mean, I guess I kind of get it if it was like another Western Conference team, but you're also not talking about building a Lakers team that if you're a rebuilding team, there's not going to be, this is not a 5 or 6 year deal where you're like, well, now we just built this monster that we have to deal. Like, this is 2 year, maybe 3 year if you really stretch that window out, kind of situation there. So, and especially with the Pacers where they are in the opposite conference too, they do what's best for you. Who cares about, what it does for the Lakers? It doesn't matter to you. Like,
and Myles Turner on an expiring contract, if he's not part of the future there, you get what you can for him.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that's going to be your conversation if you're the Pacers right now is, all right, are we moving forward with Myles Turner as part of this? I don't think so. You just try to get DeAndre Ayton. You didn't. And now you got to come back to Turner. And I guess your question needs to be, hey, are you willing to do any kind of extension right now for probably not anything more than about $20 million a year, a slight bump over what you make now? And if he's not, then move on and trade him and get what you can. It's not, you don't have to completely dump him. I mean, you could hold him till February and see if you get a better deal then, but you have to trade him by February because if you don't have him signed to an extension, he's not coming back.
Yeah. That's the thing with that. So I mean, that you have to factor that into the value.
Summer, right? That's the other thing. Unlike this summer where we really only had a couple teams with cap space and they were really rebuilding teams that weren't looking to add talent. Next summer, there's going to be a whole mess of teams with cap space. I just ran those projections the other day and for the first time kind of since free agency, and that I've got 11 teams with cap space.
Wow.
And a couple of them are teams that might be starting to look to kind of climb up the ladder a little bit, and a couple are definitely in that position. So, we're definitely going to be in a different spot next summer than we are right now for sure.